Mysteries, Mondays, mysteries, Mondays, mystery Mondays.
Mysteries on a Monday.
Mysteries, Mondays, mysteries, Mondays, mystery Mondays.
Mysteries on a Monday.
Mysteries, Mondays, mysteries, Mondays, mystery Mondays. Mysteries, Mondays, mysteries, Mondays, mystery Mondays.
Mysteries.
Mystery Mondays, mystery Mondays, mystery Mondays. Mysteries Mondays, mysteries Mondays, mystery Mondays. Baby, yeah, what mystery we gonna be bringing your sweet behind today? That's right, it is Mystery Mondays. We are here with you yet again to explore yet another fantastic and mystical and mysterious mystery.
Mystery Monday, baby.
Mr. Drewbert is going to be bringing us Mystery Mondays this week. First time Drew's done a Mystery Monday.
I'm so excited.
So I am intrigued. I am intrigued and excited. As I said, the other two of us that aren't doing the mystery every Monday don't know what the mystery is until the other one speaks
Till
it.
you live in the mystery.
Right. So we're living live, learning about it. So we are just as excited as you to find out what this mystery is. So, Mr. Trooper, over to you. What's the mystery going to be this week? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Ooh, so we have this week. Have you heard of the Moberly Jourdain incident in 1901?
I don't think so. Off the top of my head, off the top of my head, I don't want to think. I don't think I do.
So I remember I said to you guys a couple of weeks ago that I had one that our friend Nikki C sent over, and it was like a time travel one. You know, like kind of when people like show up at different points in history and it's unexplained. So there was this one that he showed me that I thought, oh, that's really cool, about a guy who turned up in New York and. He had like really old attire on and stuff and was just like looking around like really confused at everything, and then got like hit by a taxi and died. And they had and there was coins in his pockets that were like really like older coins and everything. Yeah, and they were like, who the hell is this guy? And they thought he was a time traveller. I looked into it and it was later debunked, and it was basically a work of science fiction that that someone had like put out as fact, but it was back before the internet and everything. So for decades it was like you know, people were looking into it and investigating it for years because they thought it was real. But then they found this book and it was like exactly the same story as what happened. So yeah, that was debunked. But I was looking at a few other like time travel kind of like incidents and tried to find one that had a bit more like, you know, credence. Don't know if that's the right word, but yeah. So this Moberly Jourdain incident from 1901. So it's two ladies claim to have experienced a time shift when visiting the Petit Trianon, which was a small chateau in the grounds of the Palace of Versailles in France.
Nice.
A time shift.
A famous.
And I like this one as well because there's an experience in my life where my fiance told me about something that happened to her when she was younger, and it reminded me a little bit of that, like a kind of time shifty thing. So yeah, so I'll give you a bit of background about the two ladies first. So Moberly, she was born in 1846, was the 10th of 15 children, came from a professional background. Her father, George Moberly, was the headmaster of Winchester College and later the Bishop of Salisbury.
Oh, nice.
In 1886, Moberly became the first principal of a hall of residence for young women, St Hugh's College in Oxford. It became apparent that Moberly needed someone to help her run the college, and Jourdain, which is the other lady in the story, was asked to become Moberly's assistant. Ooh. So this is like, she's a head teacher, this woman.
Right.
And Eleanor Jourdain, which is, if you can see on that lady there.
Very nice. Very nice.
So
very
like a
very stern looking
lady. So this is a bit about her, the other one. So Jourdain, born in 1863, was the eldest of 10 children. Her father, the Reverend Francis Jourdain, was a vicar of Ashbourne in Derbyshire. at Derbyshire. She was the sister of art historian Margaret Jourdain and mathematician Philip Jourdain. She was also the author of several books, ran a school of her own, and after the incident, which we're going to talk about, became the vice principal of St Hugh's College, so the college which the other woman is a principal of. So she went to stay with Moberly in France when they were like kind of they were doing some research together. So they were traveling around France. So these are two credible, accomplished ladies from well-to-do backgrounds, both teachers, both headmistresses. So Moberly and Jourdain recounted that they had decided to visit the Palace of Versailles as part of several trips around Paris, detailing how on the 10th of August 1901 they travelled by train to Versailles. They remembered not thinking much of the palace after touring it, so they decided to walk through the gardens to the Petit Trianon, but after reaching the Grand Trianon found it was closed to the public. So the Petit Trianon was a small chateau on the grounds given by Louis XVI to his 19-year-old wife, Marie Antoinette.
Oh, yeah. The famous Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, as a private retreat for her personal use. So remember that about Marie Antoinette.
Cool. Keep that in mind.
So they recollected travelling with a Baedeker guidebook, but said they became lost after missing the turn for the main avenue, Allée des Deux Trianon, and entered a lane where they bypassed their destination. Moberly reported that she noticed a woman shaking a white cloth out of a window, while Jourdain recalled noticing an old deserted farmhouse outside of which was an old plough. At this point, they described a feeling of oppression and dreariness coming over them, after which men who they thought looked like palace gardeners told them to go straight on. Moberly described the men as very dignified officials dressed in long greyish-green coats with small three-cornered hats. Jourdain recalled that she noticed a cottage with a woman holding out a jug to a girl in the doorway, describing it as a tableau vivant, a living picture, much like Madame Tussauds waxworks.
Whoa.
Moberly did not observe the cottage, but remembered that she felt the atmosphere of change. She wrote, "Everything suddenly looked unnatural, therefore unpleasant. Even the trees seemed to become flat and lifeless. The wood worked in tapestry. There were no effects of light and shade, and no wind stirred the trees." So they were having this like weird experience, like walking through the chateau, almost like seeing some strange things and some strange people.
Like
doing,
it was almost like the things were just becoming strangely otherworldly.
Yeah,
like they weren't quite in the real world anymore, or something.
Yeah,
there's a really good quote from Stephen King, which almost like touches on this a little bit, where he's like, "Terror." I'll probably butcher the quote, but it's something like, "Terror is when you come home to find that every single piece of your furniture has been moved, but just slightly," or something like that.
Yeah.
And this reminds me a little bit of that, where like everything's
things are a bit strange, but you don't know why.
A little bit off,
weird.
but you can't put your finger on it.
Nowadays, people often describe it as like a glitch in the Matrix or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But it's been a phenomenon that's been going on for like a long time. Just things that are just ever so slightly off.
Kind of coincides with like the uncanny valley and stuff as well. But no, that sounds terrifying.
So they reported reaching the edge of a wood close to the Temple de l'Amour and coming across a man seated beside a garden kiosk wearing a cloak and a large shady hat. According to Moberly, his appearance was most repulsive, its expression odious, his complexion was dark and rough. Jourdain noted the man slowly turned his face, which was marked by smallpox. His complexion was very dark. The expression was evil and yet unseeing. And though I did not feel that he was looking particularly at us, I felt a repugnance to go past him.
Ugh.
They said that another man, whom they described as tall, with large dark eyes and crisp curling black hair, under a large sombrero hat, came up to them and showed them the way to the Petit Trianon.
Mystery man.
This does sound like proper mysterious. It sounds like do you know what it's reminding me of a little bit? Have you two watched any of the new season of Stranger Things yet?
Oh no, is it out?
It's very much like what we're talking about. It's like
off.
You'll be in the real world, and then something will happen, and it's like you. It still seems like you're in the real world, but everything's just off.
Yeah,
it's just really weird, you know.
All of it's strange.
Man, I need to start Stranger Things.
By the way, just
it's so good.
Yeah, don't go off. I don't want to go off topic too much, but it's amazing. By the way, this is.
I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it.
I think this is like my favourite season since like the first season.
I've got to watch it. Have you
never ever seen any?
Never even started it.
Really
it's
good,
so
mate.
cool. When I was actually researching for this part as well, the Stranger Things came up. Like one of the I can't remember what it was. I think we talked about it before about the experiment that the US government did on a submarine vessel or something, trying to cloak it.
That's the Philadelphia experiment.
Yes,
the Philadelphia Project.
Yeah, and then the other one that Stranger Things is like a relation to.
That's called it'll come to me in a minute.
Yeah,
it'll come to me in a minute.
That one, but they both intertwine a little bit, and I was thinking, that would be a cool one. So it's funny that you brought it up because I was like looking at it, but. Right, so getting back to the two ladies, Moberly...
Montauk Project, sorry.
Montauk, that's it.
Montauk Project, yeah.
So maybe we can do that, a Montauk Project next time.
That sounds good to me. I didn't know about that as well. So that sounds cool.
Yeah, really weird.
So cool. But Moberly said she noticed a lady sketching on the grass who looked at them after they crossed a bridge to reach the gardens in front of the palace. She later described the lady as wearing a light summer dress and a shady white hat with much fair hair. Moberly reported that she thought she was a tourist at first, but the dress appeared to be old-fashioned. Moberly came to believe that this lady was Mary Antoinette. Jourdain, however, did not see the lady. And because there's a picture, basically, which you won't be able to see very well, but that is a portrait of Mary Antoinette, and it was just like the woman that she saw in the garden, basically.
Right. When you finish the story, you ought to get it up on the PC and see if we can get it in high def.
In high def, baby. So at their return to the palace, they reported that they were directed round to the entrance and joined a party of other visitors. They said that after they toured the house, they had tea at the Hotel de Reservoir before returning to Jourdain's apartment. So it's seeing a few strange things and stuff. It's not like a crazy, like anyone disappeared or anything like that. But it's almost
eerie.
like a little eerie glitch in the Matrix. So it suggests that they encountered several people in 1789 period attire, and this happened in 1901, so it was like from like 100 years before, a couple hundred, carrying out period activities like the woman, which wouldn't be so, that wouldn't happen at that time. So the woman, what she was doing with the, outside the house and everything, and passed a handful of structures that had not existed since 1789. So some of the things that they were walking through and what I was talking about, they just...
Like in real time were like ruined.
Yeah, and they went like a bridge. I said they walked over a bridge. There was no bridge there in that actual place or anything.
That bit's mental.
Yeah, so their expected...
Crazy, man.
Their unexpected visit to 112 years in the past culminated with an encounter of Mary Antoinette herself sketching on the grounds of her chateau. So she was walking through this... actually like her...
Do you know what it's giving me vibes of a little bit as well, this story? Even though that wasn't actually time travel. You've played The Witcher... You've played the Hearts of Stone Witcher 3 expansion, haven't you? I know that you haven't played the Blood...
and Wine. No, I haven't.
You haven't played Blood and Wine? That's the one with the
Hearts
vampires.
Of Stone. Yes, I have, yes.
The one where like the guy and he like did a pact with essentially like the devil Gauntero Dim, I think.
Gauntero Dim, yeah.
Yeah, like the demon guy. You know that bit in that level where you have to go to... what's his name? You know, the red-headed guy. The guy that at first you think is like your main enemy, but then it turns out Gauntero Dim's your main enemy. Spoiler alert. Witcher 3's been out so long now. But yeah, you know you have to like go to his old house. And it's like this big old mansion, and it's like really creepy, and there's that like weird, and it looks like there's that weird old like groundsman, and he's just and then you end up having like a boss battle with him.
Yeah.
Like obviously it's this, nothing like horrific happens in the tale you're telling, but I can almost like, what I'm picturing in my head is like this big medieval like French style like chateau, and just everything's a bit like dim and like a bit creepy, and the pictures are all a bit creepy, and then there's like this weird groundsman just walking around like carrying out what seem like mundane tasks, but there's just something a bit creepy about it.
Yeah,
I'm almost picturing it of like a rose tinted, like looking through like rose tinted goggles and seeing like this olden place where you're walking through. All the buildings are rustic. Yeah, like you say, everyone's dressed in like weird garb.
Yeah,
man.
It's almost like like as you said,
story.
it's like tinted, like everything's got a weird filter on or something. Just like doesn't look quite right.
Yeah, so according to Jourdain and Moberly, neither woman mentioned the incident to one another until a week after leaving Versailles, when Moberly, in a letter to her sister about the trip, started writing about the afternoon of the Versailles incident. She reportedly asked Jourdain if she thought the Petit Trianon was haunted, and Jourdain told her she thought it was. 3 months later in Oxford, the pair said they compared their notes and decided to write separate accounts of what happened, while also researching the history of Trianon. They thought they might have seen events that took place on 10th of August 1792, only 6 weeks before the abolition of the French monarchy, when the Tuileries Palace in Paris was besieged and the king's Swiss guards were massacred. So according to their narrative, they visited the Trianon Gardens again on several occasions, but were unable to trace the path they took. Various landmarks such as the kiosk and the bridge were missing, and the grounds were full of people. Trying to come up with an explanation, they wondered if they had stumbled across a private party or an event booked that day, like, you know, where people would be dressing up
what's it called, LARPing?
Yeah.
Like,
large action roleplay.
Yeah. So it's like, like you can go to like medieval banquets. There's like jousting, and everyone's dressed up as like a Viking or an elf or something. Like,
However, they found that nothing had been booked that afternoon. Through their research, they thought they recognised the man they reportedly saw at the kiosk as the Comte de Verlul, a friend of Marie Antoinette, who herself Morberly had claimed to see. Convinced that the grounds were haunted, they decided to publish their story as a book, An Adventure it was called, in 1911, under the pseudonyms of Elizabeth Morrison and Frances Lamont. So they were both very like reputable women, like headmistresses and everything. So they believed in their story so much that they published it as like a story, but they didn't do it as themselves because obviously they didn't want the backlash.
They didn't want the ridicule or any negative attention.
Yeah, so the book containing the claim that Marie Antoinette had been encountered in 1901 caused a sensation. However, many critics did not take it seriously on the grounds of the implausibilities and inconsistencies that it contained. A review of the book by Eleanor Mildred Sidgwick in the Proceedings of the Society for Psychical Research suggested that the woman had misrepresented normal events that they had experienced. In 1903, an old map of the Trianon Gardens was found and showed the bridge that the two women had claimed to have crossed that had not been on any other map. The identity of the authors of An Adventure was not, so the authors of the book were not made public until 1931. So 30 years after the incident. So no one knew that they writ that. But so there was a map that showed this bridge that they said that they went over and stuff, but they didn't find that.
Imagine if
after.
that was you, that'd be so eerie.
I love that bit of them like finding this person through history that they saw in this like time shift, and then finding that they were there and they were like friends.
We experienced that time and we saw that person and like that place and stuff.
Oh, I'd love that. I wish I'd experienced something like that.
It's just so weird.
Do you know what's also like making me think about this like story is like, you know, like a lot of people that say like you know, if like you believe in ghosts and stuff, they say that it's like it's usually like not always, but usually it's like emotionally charged events, which makes it more likely to like imprint that sort of, you know, because a lot of people say that like ghosts, it's almost like an energy. It's almost like a timestamp,
like an energy imprint. And that's exactly that's what I written here. It's like it could be like a time, a memory of a time that was imprinted in the place, and they just kind of walked into it, and where they were open and didn't think anything of it, they just experienced that. And that's like something that like Meg experienced like years ago in the woods where she looked into this old manor, and then she swear she could see like Victorian garbed children running around and like and someone and things like that. And this was like super, and like she like, you know, and saw like, she said she saw like a fire in the forest, and there was firemen and stuff, but that had happened. There was this huge fire that happened in the forest that they found out about after, and it was almost like they were seeing the memory of that event through this like supernatural like 3 a.m. hour of going for a walk in the woods, you know.
The witching hour.
That's so creepy with the fire. That literally sounds like something that would be like written a story about.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was going to say as well, because with like those energy imprints, that's why it's more likely that, say, somebody that's been murdered, or like if it was like a battle scene or something, like to this day, like if you go to like any like big battle scenes like across the world, people will say that they feel like a energy, or like they feel like their hairs are standing on end, or a lot of the people that are like supposedly ghosts, as I said, are like people that have been murdered or murderers, people that were like extremely
unfinished business as well, like,
or like really abusive households where there's like poltergeist activity. It's like there's this highly strung atmosphere. And I was thinking, obviously, with like Marie Antoinette and everything like that, as I said, so that was like just before the French Revolution, and like Marie Antoinette had her head cut off by the guillotine, and then that was obviously French.
That may be one of the happy places where she was just painting in the garden.
But I'm talking about like emotionally charged. Like obviously that was, to this day, that's like a massive French event, because obviously they've been a republic since. That like the French Revolution happened, and then Napoleon ended up in power, and that obviously led to like the Napoleonic Wars. Like, it was like a massive. Like, you could say even worldwide, but at least, certainly at the very least, like European, like pivotal part of European history.
Along those lines, it's quite cool with the mention you said of them feeling oppressed when they got into this place. That almost, you could tie that into them being like...
Yeah, there was a definite change of energy
that
they felt
and
like when they were walking into
obviously
it.
at that time, they would have been feeling like oppression and everything from the public that were like hating them.
Yeah.
So that would be like the general feeling that would be going around at that time.
Thing is, you could see it both ways as well. You could see it as they were feeling oppressed because of the hatred that the public felt for them, or maybe that was like you could speculate that you were experiencing the feeling that the general population would feel like when around royalty, that thought they were so much like above you or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you could see it like both ways.
That's it. So it's like, so it is kind of tied up to the same time traveling theme that I wanted to look into, but more of just a weird mystery. And it was the fact that these two, what I've said about their credentials at the start, is because they were respected women.
Your sources matter. Sources matter. Yeah.
So it was more of like why would these guys like make something like that up? Like they had no reason to, and even when they released it under pseudonyms, because like they weren't trying to do a claim to like fame or anything like that.
Quite the opposite.
Quite
the opposite. Yeah, no, I think that's fascinating, man. I've just said I've never heard of that before. Never heard of that mystery.
That's a really good mystery.
That's a really good mystery. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, nice, guys.
Yeah, so much you can take from that. As I said, like just even like that picture you showed us of the lady in at the beginning of the story, like that's like just like a woman that you would believe.
Yeah,
she looks so like serious and no nonsense.
Yeah, just like
do you know what I mean? Like, you think
that was the younger one as well. So the other one was older. She was like she was like 55. The other lady, and just like proper stern head mistress.
You think of like practical jokers. You do not think of people like that.
No.
Let's compare notes of our experience. Oh, when they got back.
Did you like look into like has anybody else like ever experienced like anything like that anywhere like in the same place? Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know, because they said anytime they went back, they couldn't even find the place that the places that they walked through. It was very different. The bridge wasn't there. That they couldn't find the bridge anywhere. Like and like they said, they saw that the bridge on a map. But at first, people didn't believe them. But then they did find one of the old, previous maps of the place, and it did have that on there. But it was only on like one map or something. It was like none of the modern ones did.
Literally taking a walk through history.
Oh
That's
man,
mental.
I'd love to experience something like that.
Yeah. Energy imprints. That seems more likely to me than all of a sudden just being like transported to a completely other time. Like kind of like some of the other stories you hear about that. What I said at the start about that guy just turning up in New York, like I find that harder to be like more incredulous than almost like just walking into like a just into a memory. It's like you're walking into a dream.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's like eerie, but it's cool. As I said, I sort of wish that it would like something like that would happen to me.
Yeah.
We
should go Ludlow, the place that happened to Meg, and take a walk through in like the middle of the night or something.
The thing is, they always say, and I think this is like, I think people that are like, I say I'm sort of like an open-minded skeptic. So what I mean by that is, it's like I don't disbelieve anything, but I don't particularly believe anything either. I just sort of go with what I can.
Open to thinking about it and experiencing it.
Definitely, but like people that I speak to that are sort of like more ardent believers, sort of say to me that like because I go to these every like supernatural place I go to, whether it's like the Edinburgh Vaults, which is supposedly one of the most like haunted places in Europe or wherever, I always go there with the idea that I'm like looking for it, and I'm like almost like searching it out, and apparently that like puts off supernatural stuff, and it's almost that like irony that it's the people that often like least want something to happen to them that it will happen to them. Yeah. But like people that me, that it's almost like my mental energy is like something happen. If something like weird's going on here, then like show yourself to me, and then it's almost like they're like, nah.
My dad did a really funny thing to my mum when they went to this hotel recently.
Right.
I want to say it was in Lynmouth or something like that.
Lynmouth is where we went.
Yeah, I think it might have been. Nice. I think so. I could be wrong, but they went to this hotel, which is meant to be one of the most haunted hotels in the country.
Is it?
Right, and they sent me this article, and they read this article. The room they were staying in is supposed to be the most haunted room in the entire hotel.
What?
Right, and there's the main like thing that they hear is that there's this woman who goes around, this spirit of this woman, and she's like a very jealous wife. So she'll pull like the wives of husbands out of the bed, and like the husbands will feel like them getting touched and stuff. Yeah.
Oh baby. Drew's gonna book in.
Oh yeah.
But they went to this place.
Ghostly threesome.
They went to this place, and they went out for a meal. And my mum saw my dad like close the window, and then when they got back, the window was open, and my dad was like, I swear to you, I closed the window, right? And my mum's like phoning me going, whoa, we just like experienced this thing. And we got back and we're having this barbecue the other day, and my mum was telling the story, and my dad just starts like laughing. Yeah. And she's like, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing? He's like, I opened the window.
Oh, really? I just full on pranked her.
Debunked.
I'll tell you what, something like minorly weird happened to me like a week ago. Ooh. It's not like anything, it's not like even like anything like massive, but it was enough that it was just seemed like really strange. And it's like weird, like I said, it might just be because it's a bit of like an old rickety property, but stuff like this does happen at mine every now and again. And I always do just like explain it away at the time. When at the time I'm never like, oh my God, this is supernatural. I'm always just like, yeah, this is probably, but I'm like, this is probably just like, I don't know, do you know what I mean? It's probably just like happened. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think that sometimes maybe I do overly rationalise it. But yeah, I was like the only one up. Like everyone else had been like asleep for like hours, and I was like in the living room on my own. And like above my oven, I've got like a big extractor fan. You helped me put it up there. And like to clean them, you know, they've got like there's like those little metal almost like grates that you can take off and you can clean because they get really greasy because obviously all like the frying pan vapors and everything that go up into them. But like they've got like two little things that you push in each side, which obviously allow you to take them down. But obviously when you don't push them in, there's like little metal like slits that like pop out, which obviously keep it in place at the top of the extractor fan. And I was in the living room on my own, and it was just like completely quiet. And I just suddenly heard like a really loud like bang in the kitchen, and I literally just to myself, I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I went into my kitchen, and one of them had just like fallen down onto like the hob. Whoa. And I just like picked it up, and I was like, that's so weird. Yeah. And so I like put it back. And then, like, once I put it back with all of them, I was sort of like going like that with them to see if they would like fall easily. Yeah. And obviously they wouldn't, because when the slits are out and they're on the other side, it's like, well, it's just like physics, isn't it? It's like you can't push through. And I was sort of just like, maybe the last time I put one up there or something, like when I put it up there, like, and I let go, like the slits didn't fully come out or something. But to be honest, they haven't taken them down to wash them in like months. Yeah. So it's a bit weird that it would have all of a sudden just like that on like a really still. Do you know what I mean? It's not like there was any breeze in the kitchen.
Just in the middle of the night as well.
Yeah, it was like complete middle of the night. Nobody was around. Obviously, there's like no breeze in my kitchen or anything like that. It was just a bit weird. But I was just a bit like, oh right.
Someone's trying to send you a sign, man.
I definitely think if.
What's your beefsteaks?
Yeah, I think I think some people would have probably been very freaked out there. But I was just a bit like.
That's weird.
I'll just put it up and just sort of ignore it. That's what I thought. I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna like sort of like just get back to what I was doing. But it was a bit weird. Even as I was putting it up, I was a bit like, yeah, that's a bit strange.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that.
It reminds me of the there was this documentary I watched, and it was to do with a house in London on a terraced place. Did we watch this together at any point? And it was basically like about the poltergeist. Oh man, it is so epic.
The Enfield
haunting. Yeah, there's been a movie about it, but the movie's
I've heard of the movie.
Pants compared to the actual real life documentary because they've got footage of like this girl and stuff,
Poltergeist,
like, who was getting like possessed in that at the house. But it is some weird stuff, and it's like it's.
I thought the movie was good though. To be fair,
yeah,
I thought it was pretty
good.
I thought the movie was good.
Like it was definitely good. They Hollywooded it up, like, you know, as you would with a movie. But I liked the actual documentary because it was real events, and the people that would go over and film stuff for the newspaper and that would actually see things like flying across the room and that, and things like going off the mantelpiece and stuff like that, and got proper freaked out by it all.
I gotta watch
it was quite dark, man. Yeah. Watch the movie and the documentary. Like, have like a nice little Enfield haunting evening with your missus or something.
I watched that documentary like 3 times, I reckon.
Yeah, and I think
proper cool.
I think the cool thing about that is the fact that it's almost just like in a very normal, like, terraced house.
But that's what you were saying about the troubled souls and stuff that could be. It was like this old man that was like supposed to be like the ghost that was haunting it. He was like this real angry old man, you know, and it was this, and the girl that was getting possessed, she'd sit on the phone, and there's footage of her like, my name's John. Like, you know, and like it would like talk through her, and it was like so weird. But it was like almost this ghost trying to like still trying to like, you know, get at people even.
One thing that'd be quite cool to do with that, just to sort of just try and balance it out, because I've watched the documentary and I've watched the movie, but I've never watched sort of like a more like skeptical outlook on like trying to explain the Enfield haunting, because to me that's one of the most like credible like cases of like hauntings or poltergeist activity in the UK. Like, as I said, like so much evidence like towards it, and it just seems like so weird. Like,
yeah, a lot of the journalists and stuff, and there was like, I think there was police officers and journalists who experienced things and actually would say that you know, this happened when we ran around there. So it does seem quite from credible sources that experienced some of the events. But
the thing that I always think is like when things, at least in my mind, when things start to get really intriguing, is have you guys ever heard of Occam's razor?
I have, yeah. I've heard of the term Occam's razor.
I have.
So like detectives often use Occam's razor, and so do scientists and that. So Occam's razor is basically just like Occam's razor is basically like it just means whatever is the most likely answer usually is the right answer.
Right.
So like detectives use it often when solving crimes, and scientists use it a lot when trying to solve, you know, the mysteries of the universe. And it seems, you know, it sounds very basic, but it's very useful tool. You know, Occam's razor. You know, just think in your head.
Keep it simple.
Whenever you're experiencing something or going through something, whatever is the most likely outcome or answer is usually the right one. But to me, I always think if you use Occam's razor as like a useful tool. So when you say thinking of something like the Enfield haunting, or even like what happened to me with my kitchen last week, it's like you start thinking, right, all the possibilities, like, okay, what could have done this? And to me, when things get intriguing is when you can't think of like a likely
the obvious one is.
It doesn't jump out at you.
A likely explanation of what happened. And then when that happens, it's like that's when things get intriguing.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, you know, if you hear like a creak the floorboards or something like that, it's like, you know, you could use Occam's razor to think, okay, well that was probably just, you know,
the wood.
It's just the wood expanding or contracting. If you hear something scuttling in your walls and you live in an old house, it's probably a mouse or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But when you can't, when suddenly that's like you're using Occam's razor, and then it's like you're left with nothing but weirdness. That's when things are like, you know,
Interessante.
Should we leave it there for Mystery Mondays?
I think that's a good place to leave it, man.
That was a great mystery, man.
Oh, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I was a bit worried about choosing one.
Your first mystery.
First mystery.
No, man,
I liked it.
Success.
Yeah, that was an awesome mystery. No, I really enjoyed it. So thanks for everyone tuning in. This has been Mystery Mondays. Tune in next week again for another mystery. Have a great week, everybody.